our introduction to Power BI, and we had done how to load the data into Power BI, and how to transform that data. Right, when we were done transforming the data, we then loaded the data into Power BI. Right, then we did the relationships, where we established the relationship between the various tables in our data. Right. So today we are going to proceed from where we left, and we will embark on introduction to DAX and the data visualization. Right. So, like what we were doing in Excel, we make use of Excel formulas to summarize the data, to come up with the visualizations. You have to first of all type the formulas, or you can summarize the data using what is called a pivot table or pivot charts. It can then be drawn from there. But then here in Power BI, you make use of these visualizations here. I think if you can see here, there's the filters pane, there's the visualizations pane, then there's the data pane, right? From the data pane here, you can see that this is where our data, where our data is. So from here, uh, you can um, you can create various visualizations, right? For example, you can go to the table here, right? Going to the table, I have selected that table. Then I need to select the fields which I need to display in the table. I'll go and select the product name here, right? Our product name will be displayed there. Then I need to select the price, right? Then maybe quantity, and let me say total customer, then total sales revenue. That is what we have, right? So you can see here. And then when the price is saying some, right? That is because those fields are numeric fields, and automatically the numeric fields are if that those that have that summation symbol there. So they are implicitly aggregated in Power BI. So you can disable that by just going to the drop down there. Then you select what do not summarize. Of course, there are a number of summarizations that you can do. You can select that average to show average, minimum for minimum, count distinct to show the unique values, then count to show the number of items in the data set, then the standard deviation, variance, among other things. So I'm going to select don't summarize, so that it will be displayed as price and not the sum of what, the sum of price. And I'm going to do that here again, right? And then I will leave sum for what, sum of sales, so that it can be displayed as something like this, right? So basically this is what we have here. This is what we have. We have the price, we have the total quantity, then the customer, the sales value, right? That is what we have. That is what we have there. Right, the price is 35, the customers there. Right. So that is what we have, and you can format this table using various formatting styles. And maybe before I go there, let me try to focus on DAX for now, right? So you can see that. So what Power BI does is it does an implicit aggregation here. So in Excel, for us to find that sum, we're supposed to type a formula, right? That calculates the sum of the cells. Then we drag that one right into the chart, so that we can draw the chart. But here it's different, because the Power BI automatically detects the data type there, right? And then as long as it's numeric, it will aggregate like sum, average, standard deviation, among other things, right? That you can use without having to explicitly specify the formula for aggregating that data, right? That is how we can do it here, right? And let's say here, I think I've used the total customers, the sales, etc. But let me just demonstrate how to do that, right? Because here, let me unselect that sales, then the total customer, so that I can demonstrate how to make use of what, to make use of DAX. I'm going to delete that sales revenue. I delete, and I'll also delete the total customer and total quantity so that we can start from scratch, right? Remember, this is introduction to DAX. So what is DAX? DAX is in data analysis expressions, which is the formula language that we use to aggregate data in Power BI. So that is just a formula language that we use in Power BI, right? To perform various things like the arithmetic functions, among other things, right? Yeah. So I think you can see if I untick that price and quantity, you can actually see that on this one, I'll take it over there, right? It will show sum of quantity with an implicit aggregation there, which is the sum by default, right? So let's say we don't want that behavior, but we need to explicitly specify a formula for calculating that quantity, that sum quantity. What do? You go over there, then you select what? You go on the three dots there, right? Then there's new measure, new column, there's a new quick measure, among other things. So I think I will explain that. So a measure is just a way of aggregating data here in Power BI. And if you add a measure, it will not be added to the data model. Neither does it increase the size of the model. But what it does is it is calculated, it is aggregated in flight, right? The data is aggregated in flight, or on runtime, right? So I think maybe to demonstrate that, I'm going to select new measure there, right? And this measure is going to I'm going to call it total quantity, right? Total quantity, and I will say it's equal to sum, right? It's equal to the sum of what? The sum of quantity that we have, because quantity is what? Is numeric. Then I select what? Enter, or you tick that mark there, right? Then if I come over here, I select the quantity. You can actually see that the values here are the same. So instead of doing it implicitly like that, I could do it explicitly by specifying the measure which it does the calculation. Are you seeing that? Right. That one is a measure. So that measure is added to this table, and it is that icon. But if you go over there, right, it's not added as a column on the sales data there. It's not added as a column, because that one is a what? That one is a measure. So a measure is not added to the data set, right? It's just implicitly calculated, right? So here there's also the concept of a slicer here. If you select that slicer, right, then I'll put it over there, and I'll say maybe by location, I want to select the location name, right? This is what we have here, right? Let's say if I select Antioch there, you can see that my table is being filtered. If I select bakery, my table is being filtered. If I select corona, my table is being filtered. So that is the behavior of a measure, right? So as I am changing from one option to another, the measure is being recalculated on flight. So the value of a measure will be varying, and it's calculated on what? On flight. When I select this one, instead of coming again to build a table for that one, for that option that I've selected, it's calculated automatically here, right? Are you seeing that? It's calculated automatically. So that one is a measure, is a calculated measure, right? So I can come over there, and I can even say there are a number of functions. There is the sum. Then there is also count. Let's say I need to see the number of what? The number of customers. I can say total what? Total customers. Um, right? And the total customers is equal to distinct count, right? I need to see the unique customers, right? Count of customer ID there. Then I what? I'll close. That one will show us the number of unique customers who have made at least in what? At least an order. And if I select that over there, you can see here that for the first product one, the total number of customers is 100 what? 104. Right. So we have counted the distinct, and Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is it in short. Then maybe I can say the total orders. Maybe what is the number of orders that were made? Uh, right. Then I will say total orders. It's something else now. Let me total. And it's ticking right. Let me say total orders is equal to. Then I will say distinct count. Then I will need the order ID so that I can see the number of unique orders that were made, right? This is what we have, right? Then I select the total orders there. You can see, so it will count the unique order IDs that are there. So this is what we have. The 104 customers have made the 109 unique orders. So which means each customer have made at least what? At least one order per customer. Are you seeing that? So this one is DAX. So what we are doing here, these formulas that we are typing, we are making use of what? Of DAX. We are making use of DAX. And these three that we have made so far, these are called measures. These are called measures. But then there is a calculated column, right? A column is added to the data source, right? And usually it does the 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 calculation or the operation row by row, and is most suitable when you want to do calculation row by row. For example, here what we have here, right? With this data we might want to calculate the total sales, right? But here we have the price and the quantity, which means we need to say uh, the total um we need to say price times quantity, then the sum of that. We need to say price times quantity, then we'll find the sum of that. Because if we say the sum of price times the sum of quantity, that becomes wrong, right? That becomes wrong. So we need to say for each row, we need to say what is the price, what is the quantity, what is the price, what is the quantity, then the aggregation of that, right? So for us to do that here, we need to add a column that calculates the sales value for each row by multiplying the price and the what and the quantity, right? So here I will say uh, sales value, right, is equal to, then I will say price. I'll just type price, all sales price, right, multiplied by what, by all sales quantity, like this. Then I'll select enter. And remember, we have added a column in this case, not a measure, right? So this one, what we have just added here, you can see the icon is different from the measures. So what we have just added here is a column, and this column now does the calculation row by row, because we are saying what is the price. The price is there. What is the quantity? Then we multiply. Are you seeing that? So if I select this again, it will be like what? It will be like a column, and the Power BI does the implicit calculation here, right? And you can see what is the value of sales for that particular product. One, right? And I've said the columns are added to the data model, and they increase the size of what? The size of the data model. If you come over here, you can see the sales values there. But all these other three, the total members, the total orders, and the total customers, are not there, because those are measures, but the sales value is a column. The sales value is a column, right? So those are calculated columns. So what that calculated column is doing, it's saying what is the quantity, that one, what is the price, that one, then it multiplies for each and every what item from the beginning to the end. So that is what columns does. That is what columns do. In fact, that is what columns do, right? So let me select that sales revenue. I put it there, right? This is what we have. The value of the sales revenue is there. But let's say we needed to calculate that sales revenue there, right? Maybe before I do that, let me first introduce this concept here. Let me remove this. Let me remove this for now, right? Right. This is what we have here. let's say we need to display that sum of sales value maybe on a card. Um, yeah, the ordinary card is not there. Let me try to store default visuals. Um, is the card now available? Yeah, you can see it's right there. This is what we need, and a card is suitable for one value matrix. Is suitable for one value matrix or KPIs. So if I select that sales value there, right? So you can see that the sum of sales is displayed on a card. So we can do a number of formatting on that one. But for now, that is not our focus. Maybe what I'll just do is I'll go over there, format your visual. Then I'll select visual border so that it can be visible. So this is what we have, right? That is our card, and that is the value of our sales. And we have done that by just taking the sales value. But let's say I needed to display that one. I didn't need to calculate this. Maybe I need to calculate that one using a measure. How else was I going to achieve that? Let me try to do a measure here. Remember, we are learning DAX, so this is part of DAX what we are doing here, right? And then we come over here. I will say total sales, in this case total sales, right, is equal to, then our total sales there, I will say our total sales is equal to sum, but in this case I need that sum x. And what does sum x do? That one is an iterator, because it evaluates the sum of an expression for each row in a table, right? So I need the sum x. It accepts the what? The table, right? Then from there I need the expression. And what is my expression? My expression is what? Is all price times what? Times quantity, right? That is price times quantity. So what am I doing? I'm saying for each row, just to say, if for each row in the table or cells, just to say price times what? Times quantity. That one. Then I select enter, right? I select enter. Then when I select the total sales here, it's supposed to give the same value with the value of that card is not available again. Well, something is happening. Right, but let me do this. Right, you can see now that we are having the same value. Of course, this one it is a number of decimal places, but then that is the same value. So we can still achieve that one using an iterator. So what an iterator does is it will go line by line, doing the price times quantity. Then it sums up those values to get one value at the end. So that is what sum x does, and this is part of DAX, right? This is part of DAX. And let's say maybe you need to see the number of transactions. You need to see the number of transactions. What you can do, you can come over there, you create a measure, right? And having created that measure, you can say total transactions. I can say is equal to count. There's count rows, right? I'll use that count rows. Then this one will accept the name of the what? Of the table only. So it counts the number of transactions in the table. So I'll select what? Enter. Right? If I select that enter now, if you go there on total transactions, then I select this, it will show me the count of transactions. It will show me the count of transactions. You can see it's around 11,000 transactions that we have. And this is the Power BI DAX. This is DAX. So these are data analysis expressions that we are using here. Are you seeing that? That is data analysis expressions. Right. And then um right. Let's go to this one. Then the order date there. We have data from 2020 up until it's 2021. Maybe before I do that, let me demonstrate the concept of a calculated table and a calculated columns from there, right? So from here you can actually see that we have that date, but here in the cells, if you expand that cells now, you can see that there's order date, right? So we need to see maybe the maximum and the minimum date for that one. Then we calculate our dedicated date table. Because whenever you are given data like this, you need to come up with your dedicated date table. That will then help you to do some time intelligent functions, right? And to do that dedicated date table, what you need to do is you need to go to the table view there, then you go to table tools, right? Then you create a new table, right? On new table here, we need to make our own date table, right? So here let's just say maybe this one is called dim date, right? Or else let's just say date, right, is equal to, what is our date? Our date here, there are two ways of coming up with the date table there. There are two ways of coming up with the date table. The first one is making use of this calendar auto function, right? If you select that calendar auto, here it will accept the fiscal year end month, right? Here. You can either put something there or you can leave it like this, right? Let's say I just say calendar auto and select enter. Well, it's already used, so let me resort to this dim date, right? Don't worry about dim, it just means it's a dimension table for date, right? That is dim date that I have, and you can see here our table is calculated there. So what this one does is it spans across our data. Then from there it will create a date table, right? Spanning from the maximum to the minimum dates available in our dataset. For example, here it will go from that maximum to the what, to the minimum, right? Remember our dataset is running from 2020 to 2022. Remember. So here it will run from that 2020 up to here, up to 2022, 2021, 2022. You can see here. That is what this one does. So you can either accept here a parameter, and this one must be the fiscal year end month, because there are some countries or the companies which make use of it depends on the fiscal year end month of that company. Some companies fiscal year end month is 12, right, which is December. So you can put 12 here. So that one will configure this one to say the end month is December, right? And there are some companies whose fiscal end month is June. So in that case, you would put what? You will put 6. Then you select what? Enter. There. That will change the treatment of the dates. That will change the treatment of the dates there. Right. Which means any month after 2022 June will be what? Must be fiscal year 2023. Something like that. But then here, if you don't specify that number, by default, it will assume that the fiscal year end month is what? The fiscal year end month is December, which is 12. So you can either pass a parameter there or you don't pass that constant. But the date will be what? The date table will be created, right? So that is the first way. Then besides that, right? Besides that, you could also create the same date table using another function, right? Another function. Let me just demonstrate that. Maybe let me say this one calendar, right? Then I would say is equal to this one. You start with the calendar here, right? Then here it will accept the start and the end date. So on the start date, we need to select the minimum of the order date, right? And the maximum of the what? Of the order date, right? This is what we have. Then we close and select end. That one is now a date table. Are you seeing that? Right? This one, the dates are created. The date table is created, but then the creation of this one is not automatically inferred by Power BI. But the creation of this one, we are specifying explicitly the minimum and the maximum dates, right? Which means that the dates in this table calendar are bounded. The dates in this table calendar are bound by these parameters that we have set. This is different from the dim date table there, right? That we have created automatically, right? And maybe to demonstrate some concepts, I'm going to be using this dim date here for simplicity, right? Let's say we have selected that one. What do we need to do? We need to select mark as a date table so that this one will be marked as a what? As a date table, right? I select save there, right? This is what we have. Then after this, before we do anything else, we now need to connect this one to our data set. We need to connect this one to our other tables. Like in this case, we need to connect this one to what? To this one. So you will find out that the relationship here is either one to many or many to one. Right? You can see here it's many to one. Then I select save. I save the relationship. So what this one does, right? What this one does is it means that we can make use of this date for some time intelligent functions. We can make use of this date for some time intelligent functions. Right. You can make use of this one now for some time intelligent functions. So let's try to go back to this one. This dim table here, this is what we have. And from this one, this table now, this dim date table and the calendar table there, I think they have different icons. They are now called calculated tables. And by definition, the calculated tables are those tables that are created from DAX expressions. They are the tables that are created from DAX expressions. So with DAX, you can create tables, you can do calculations, you can do many things. So these are just the use cases of what? Of DAX. Right. So from here, from this calculated table, you can create calculated columns. For example, I could come here and I can type some extra, you know, some other formulas here. I could say, well, I need a year. That is a date, and I need maybe a year, right? I will say, what is that? And I need to say year. This one returns the year of a date as a 4-digit integer, right? I need the year of that date, correct? Then I will select the dim date, then I close there, and I select end, right? When I select enter, you can see that this one extracts that date from the they extract the year from the date there. Then we can have our year here, right? We can have our year here. And the same applies, you can come over here, right? Let me say I need to select that month, right? Maybe let me call this one month num. And you appreciate why I do this, right? Month num. Then I select what? Month. I do that month. And then I need the date. It will extract the month again from that date, right? You can see here, but this one will return an integer because it will return the month number. It will return the month number, and 1 year is corresponding to that 1 January 2020, right? So for us to format that one now into maybe January, February, March, we need to use a different convention. That one, that's why I've said month number there, right? So there I'm going to select this one. I will say month, right? Month, let me say month name, right? Is equal to um let me say just month is equal to, we say format, right? Then when we format, we need to accept the value here that we need to format, right? The date. And what is the format? We need to say MMM. That one, let me just put M 4 M's, right? Then I select end. It will show the month name, but in full, It will show the month name in full, like January, February, March, up to December, right? And if I need to say maybe just Jan, Feb, March, then I'll remove the fourth M there, and I will leave the three M's, and it can show that one as a what? As a shortcut, like Jan, Feb, etc. You can see here, this is what we have, right? But then, maybe before we go any further, let me just try to do this here. Or else, let me not start from the table. Let me delete this. I will start from the dim table there. I will select month, right? This is what we have, right? You can see here. Then maybe, um, let me say, let me put the year there, right? You can see, it's arranged in alphabetical order. It's arranged in alphabetical order. Maybe since there are many years, we need another column that will display the month, year, right? For example, Jan 2022, Jan 2021, Jan 2020. Let's go back to the table view. Then here we create another formatted column, and then here we are going to say month, year, right? Then we say format. What do we need to format? We need to format that date, right? You format the date as this format. We need month, right? Then we need year, year, right? Then we close. So that one will give us Jan 2022, Jan 2021, for example. Then we select what? Enter, right? When you have selected that one, you can see here, it shows us something like this. But if we select that month here instead, uh, right? Let's come over here. We remove that. It's taking long. Let me remove that. Let me remove that. Then I'll select. It's this month here. Seems my formula is not configured correctly. Well, let me say we have said month here. Month year is equal to format. We need to format the date, right? It's a month, year, something like this. Then we select enter, right? It's now saved, right? Then we select here. It's something like this. But then April 2021, 2022. This one is not ordered correctly. So we need another parameter that we can use to order this one, right? Like from 2020 January, February, March up to December 2022. And how can we do that? We go over there, right? We select new column, and in this case we need a column that we can use to sort, right? Then here I will say sort column, right? I will say is equal to, I need to say that here, right? That dim year we are taking this year, maybe we multiply it by 100, then we say plus the month number there, the month num, something like this, right? I think, yeah, from here you can see that this one is unique for each year. This one is unique for each year. So I'll sort this one here with I'll go to the column tools. Then here I'll select the sort column, right? You can see that our dates are now sorted. If you go over there, you should see this one is sorted for January, February, March, April, May, June, up to December. Then January 2021, February, up to this one. It's now sorted. So this is how we can do sorting in Power BI, right? So having done that, you can now see the sales by what? The sales by month. I've selected that dim date there. Then for the sales, if I want to see the sales for that date, for that date period, I'll just go over there. I'll select what? maybe there, let me select this one. The sales value, I can see here. You can see now. And O is adding up to what? Up to our total sales value. So here, that date, we are no longer picking this, but we are making use of the date that we have created here. We are making use of that date that we have created. So this one is an example of a calculated table, and in specifically calculated date table. And this is very, very critical in Power BI, right? Let me go over there. Then I'll do just one last thing before we end, right? Then on this one again, there are some instances where you might need to show maybe you need to drill down from monthly to quarterly, yearly, etc. Right? And then yeah, we could even go as far as configuring weeks, bi-weekly, etc. But then here I just need to add one more column for a quarter, right? I just need to add one more column for a quarter so that we can see, right? Here I'm going to select that quarter, right? I will say is equal to, let me say I put this, I will say quarter, right? That one is a text, and so that we can say quarter. Then here I will say format. We are concatenating that text quarter with the value from this, right? That we have formatted, and we need to format this one as what? Quarter number, right? Then here, something like this. We close, and you can see from here. Just wait for it. And you can see here it's saying quarter one 2020, quarter one something like this, right? Then we need to remove this here, so that we can be. We need this Q1, Q2, right? This one is a shortcut now, right? We have this, right? And from there we can select that one as an ordered, right? Maybe let's create another tab, another page here, so that I can demonstrate this better, right? So you can find out that from here, if you need to show this data, right, per month, you have to create a graph for a month. If you need to show per year, you have to create a graph per year. And if you need to show per quarter, then you have to create that separate graph. But that process is very tedious. There's a shortcut here that we can use, and we can leverage the power of hierarchies in Power BI, right? A hierarchy, to create a hierarchy, what do you do? Right? Just to follow these steps, right? So we are going to create a hierarchy here from the year, and this hierarchy is going to contain the year. Then from the year to the next interval, which is the quarter, from the quarter to the month, from the month to the date, or from the month to the week, then from the week to the date, right? So to do that, you just go to the three dots there, right? I'll select create hierarchy, right? If I do that, you will see that here we now have what? A hierarchy, named here hierarchy, right? We now have that here hierarchy. Then maybe here let's rename it okay, let's leave it like that. Then from the year we can drill down from the year to the what? To the quarter, right? Then we got there now. We are no longer creating, but we are adding this one to the year hierarchy. Right? We have added the quarter there, from the year to the quarter. Then from the quarter, we need to go to the month there. Right? Let's do this. I will add that one. Then from the month, you could go to the week, right? But I don't need to show that week. I need to go to the date, right? Then I go there. I will add this to the what? To the date, right? Then we now have something like this. We have that one as a what? As as an expandable field. That one is called a hierarchy, So this one makes use of the grandfather father son relationship, for example, right? So you can drill up or drill down using this, right? So here I'm going to select this, right? For demonstration purposes, how these hierarchies are very important, right? Then for this, I'll select the hierarchy, right? Then from the cells, I will select the sales revenue. We have something like this, right? We have something like this. Sales revenue by year, we have something like this. Here by default it's year. But remember we have selected that year hierarchy, right? We have selected that year hierarchy here. If I expand, you can see here. We have selected that year hierarchy. And by default, all the elements in that one are selected. And you can deselect this so that you can drill down up to that month. But let's just select this so that you can see, right? You can see here. And there are arrows there, right? Here it's saying expand or down by one level in the hierarchy, right? This one you can turn on drill down, right? If I click that, I have turned on that drill down. If I click that, I have turned it off. And here I need to turn that one on. So you can go from one level to another. Here we are at year level, and I need to go to the quarter level. I will select that one, right? You can see here we are now seeing that data from the from quarter one 2020 up to quarter one 2022, right? This is all the data that we have, right? And you can even drill down to the next level, which is the month across these periods. You just get down there and you can see from here, right? This is our data now, but displayed as what? As months. This is January, Feb, March, up to what? Up to March 2022. This is what we have. And from this one, you can also drill down to a date level, right? You can drill down to a date level, something like this. And you can see, right? And maybe you need to show as a line graph. You can just select line graph there. You have this. And you can drill up from this date level to the month level. We have that. That is the month. And we have that for a quarter, right? And we have that for a year. That is what we have, right? And if you turn off that one, you are not able to drill down here, right? Okay, let me turn it on, off, right? Drill up, right? It's on. Um, go to the next level. It's that one, right? Go to the next level. You have that one now. Right. This is the concept of hierarchs. This is the concept of hierarchs, right? And this is all possible using what we call um DAX. So to wrap up, today I have introduced the concept of DAX, and you have known how we can make use of DAX here. I have introduced several functions ranging from the sum function, uh, the count if, the sum function that we have used here, the count rows, the count distinct, sum x, then this one, we are just multiplying here. We are doing nothing big. We are just multiplying. Then I've also introduced the concepts of dates, and I've introduced two important functions like the calendar and the calendar date. So this is what we have. So make sure that you have gone through this, and we'll use this one in our next class. Yeah, thank you so much. And this marks the end of our session today. I think next time I'll be using this one for the next session.